if everybody can see, that's great. Um, Drea, thank you so much for showing up here, doing this live with me, doing this interview with me. I'm excited for what we're going to talk about tonight. This is her book, Seed of a Sunflower, and it's called Poems of Growth. We're going to talk a lot about this. We're going to talk about the inspiration. We're going to talk about everything. So for those who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how did all this start for you? Poetry, writing, tell me all about it.
Mm, well, Drea the Sunflower Poet is my artist name. I go by Drea for those that know me. Seeds of a Sunflower is my is what I call a my poetic memoir. It's it's poems about my life. It's a cycle. It goes through the cycle of how a sunflower grows. So starting with the seed all the way to the actual sunflower growing, and the poems represent the evolution of my life and what I experienced in line with, the way a sunflower grows. I've been doing this poetry thing for about 3 years. Started with journaling, and then the journaling, eventually people kept asking me if I was going to write a book. Because the journaling started with, well, it was therapy, then it was journaling from the therapy, and then it was trying art therapy to express myself in different ways. And then and then I wrote the book, Seed of a Sunflower, about 6 months after that. And it came from the journey of like having PTSD and anxiety and depression and life experiences. And, just really putting my life experience into poetic form. And so I wrote three more books after that. My most recent book is a children's book. It's called My Poetry and Me, and it's about little Drea. Her name is Dreamer, but it's about that inner child that people talk about, and that's that's me. So this is the book that I was talking about. So Seeds of a Sunflower is my first baby. My Poetry and Me is my fourth baby, and then I have King's Hurt 2. That's a mental health poetry book, and then I have Pick Up Your Crown, Finding Your Courage, and that's about going through, the courage to be alone, the courage to live, to love, different poems that I came up from that. And so now I'm just really trying to use my gift to really just be a voice and talk about real life shit if we being direct. So
Amen. Amen to that. So I wanted to ask you, what was it about the writing poetry aspect that drew you to it? Like I know you talked about the therapy, talked about the journalism, but what was it that made you decide, you know what, I want to write a piece, I want to start writing pieces? Like, can you describe that moment to me when that actually
um,
happened?
the moment when I knew I wanted to write poetry, um, I think it was it was it was like when I was having like group sessions for PTSD. I would go to group therapy. I would go to group therapy, and then we'd have uh we'd have individual sessions, and I forget what the acronym is, but we do like sensory type of therapy. So she literally walked me through like I would go through the experience, tap into my emotions with the experience, and then describe to the therapist what that was. And so I was, going through the process of, they call it processing, of describing the event, how it felt, where I was at, and just like really just feeling that. And then I just ended up writing it down later and saying it and speaking it, and that feeling alone is like, I don't know, like it's a feeling of having control, like taking your emotions and just being able to distribute them how you want. You know what I mean? So then from that moment, it was like, this is not just journaling. This is bigger than that. This is like me feeling like I'm taking, the fear, the anger, the frustration, all of that, and I'm letting that go. And so
Mm.
that's how I distribute that. Like that's what made me fall in love with poetry. is when I felt like it was a form of control that I never felt before.
Mm. So basically, you're saying that it was a form of letting go. I love that. The form of letting go. It's like you're releasing.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
okay, I'm gonna release this out there, and hopefully it makes some kind of impact. And then you having the book and writing the books and stuff
yep,
like that
yep,
made it even better because now anyone that
yep,
sees this book would be like, oh wow, this is kind of a survival guide in a way because I'm not the
yeah,
only one going through it.
1000%. That's exactly it. It is. I let go of it, but I'm also sharing like how I did, how I let go of that stuff, and how we can connect on those levels.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And I think it's important because, yeah, like I said, like everybody has a story that we have to be told. I think is having those conversations is definitely important because it's like unfortunately we can't tell every single person because depending on who you surround yourself with, sometimes they don't understand like how you understand and all this other stuff. But then it's like when you meet the right people that do understand, that's when it becomes more intimate, it becomes more important, it becomes more of a, oh wow, okay, like we're gonna have this conversation here.
Right.
So I want to talk about your books because you did talk about your books. I wanted to ask you when you wrote your first book, right? What was the feeling like? Like, okay, this was an accomplishment, great, but can you describe that feeling to me? Like, how did it feel knowing that your book was finally out there?
It was actually scary, to be honest. I was actually pretty terrified because it's a poetic memoir. Um, putting a book is, I believe it was I heard a poet say having a book is like basically being immortalized forever. And so I'm like, do I want my like raw emotions to be like a permanent part of literature? Um, but at the same time, like it's a symbol. It's like it's like this symbolic release for me that I'm constantly reminded of. Like you don't get to tangibly hold like your um your obstacles, I guess, like your situations in your hand like that. Most of the time, it's like right here in your brain, and so like okay, you remember it, cool. But if I were to open the page into that book, it'll take me to a moment in time where I was like, I experienced that and I was able to get through it. So it started scary. Then conversations like kind of, got to where it was like, yo, I wrote a book. Like that was never on my bucket list at all. Like that was never a thought in my mind. That was never a consideration, but it was like you don't just the work that it took to put in there. Like I'm very proud of myself for that.
Wow, wow. And it's I'm gonna read some of the comments on here, just to so people know.
Yeah.
For those who are coming in, yeah, this is not an open mic. The open mic's at 9 p.m. This is an interview with Drea, the Sunflower Poet. If you want to do open mic, it's gonna be at 9 p.m. So that's what that is. This is an interview, but I want to say something that Robert Kazi said. He says, "I love how you never hesitated to be honest in your writing," and I definitely agree. I think when you put out your rawest truth, when you put the truth out there, like your truth and how that could speak to you and hopefully that could speak to everybody else, I think that's very important, right? Because that means not only are you being truthful to your audience, but you're being truthful to yourself. You're acknowledging the fact that, yeah, you know what? I don't have it all together. I'm broken and I want you to know that you're not alone type of situation here. And I think I really commend you for that. So in this book you have right here, Seed of a Sunflower, I wanted to ask you what was the brainstorming behind this? Because I noticed when you have your piece, but then you have the reflection seed after that. Like what made you decide to do that? And what was the brainstorming like?
Um, well, I'll say that Seeds of a Sunflower started out looking like a 15-page college paper, like, like clip art, all the plainness. But the brainstorm part of it was like, I just I love sunflowers. I compared myself to that. People always ask me why I chose a sunflower, and it's because it's one of the most resilient, like, I don't know, I guess plants that I know, like, in and its size and its ability to face the sun, like deal with all types of weather. Like, I remember going to a sunflower field. Like, people go out, leave their houses to go see these type of things. Like, nobody's going to see, like, I don't know, like a dandelion or whatever. They're like, whatever. That's not, I'm going to see like 400 feet. Like, we have a maze out here in San Antonio, a sunflower maze, and that thing goes for acres or whatever. But the brainstorming process was like, I compare myself to a sunflower, and we all got to start somewhere. So when I think of soil, I think of foundation. You know what I'm saying? And so I go through the process of like, how did I get here, or how did I start? Like, even really digging into my youth and my childhood. Like, I compartmentalize a lot real bad. Like, I still kind of do. I'm getting better, but I've always took my emotions into a box and just like really just kept it there. And this is like not doing that. This is me taking the box and breaking it apart and putting it in pieces. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? So, I mean,
Wow.
it took it took a lot. It took a lot of healing on my part, but then it was just like a lot of ready to admit that like there were a lot of things that happened to me that like I put in that box. And so,
Right. Right.
there's me having surgery, have not being able to have children, me, relationships I've been through, my mother having a mental illness, like all, like a lot of things that's happened to me that I have put in that box. And so Seeds of a Sunflower is basically like everything that was in that box.
Wow. Wow. You know, it's funny because I was thinking about what you said about the sunflower. Because, if you look at the sunflower here, right, you could actually pull little things. So I think when it grows, it's like I don't
Every
know, is that considered
petal,
a leaf? What is that considered? The sun,
petal,
the
sunflower
every
petal.
petal represents something, but it
Yeah,
created this sunflower, right? So even though it looks beautiful on the outside, we don't know what goes on the inside,
yeah,
and vice versa, right? Because
yeah,
I looked at it as people don't know the process it took to
yeah,
create this beautiful plant,
okay,
right? Because
yeah,
there's the weather, there's the sometimes, the maintaining of the garden and maintaining the seed, because sometimes if you put too much water or too much residue goes in there, sometimes
yeah,
it could kill the seed, or
yeah,
it could kill the flower. So I thought about it in
absolutely.
that same aspect. But at the end of the day, it went through everything it had to go through, just so when it gets to that beautiful point, is like, yeah, but you know what? This journey was not easy. So
Yeah,
even though it wasn't easy, but this is where I'm at today, and it's because of the journey. It's because of the evolution of creating what this flower represents. It made
yeah,
you the person you are today. So I definitely believe in that, and that is very deep. Um, Read more comments. Robert Kazi says, I believe it's a direct result of you beginning with journaling. You learn how to write honestly when you write in a journal. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that
yeah,
one. And Deep Thought Lyricist says, resilience to the greatest extent. Too much dip in
desperation.
your chip. That's
Yep, that's my that's my friend of me, Arsenio, there, Deep Thought, and
Deep
Robert
Thought.
always coming with the wisdom. But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, it yeah, I can say the brainstorming part was really a lot of introspective, but man, when you were just reading some of these poems, definitely puts me back in those places, but in a better place. You know what I mean?
right. So I think reflection is always important. It's always needed because for those who know me very well know I'm a very reflective person, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Like, listen, I'm a guy, but I forget about it. I'll cry like a baby alone. I don't care. Like, I don't mind admitting that, because it's like you said, it's in those moments we come to realizations. And it's so interesting, right? Because why is it that at the moment we don't realize, but then let's say 20 years later, I'll think about that moment and be like, oh, that's why I went through that. Okay. But it's like, why did it take me all this time to realize that? Why did it take all this longness. I'm like all the headaches of me trying to figure things out. But I think with me personally, I think it's like if I allow God to just take over and then I just let it be, then some things will be revealed to me. Is like, okay, but there's a different perspective of the situation. And I wanted to ask you about this one piece you have called Fear, What Are You? I'd like you to walk me through this piece
Yeah.
because I love how you're pretty much declaring to Fear that you're not taking over my life anymore. I'm not dealing with this anymore. Get out of my face. Pretty much saying get the fuck out kind of thing.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this. Talk to me, just everything, every verse. Just walk me through all that
Yeah.
and tell me, and then walk me through how it felt to confront this fear.
Man, you're real good with these questions, Andy.
No,
Like you be no,
you know what it
no.
is, and
It's a compliment. It's a compliment. It's a compliment. I just feel like I'm on. It's like Oprah or whatever. Like ready to break things down. I appreciate it. But fear. I, for me, it was like it was definitely a confrontation type of thing. It was like looking. It was like, how could something invisible feel like it's controlling you so much? You know what I mean? And so in this, it was like, if I had to describe fear in words in a poetic form, then what would I say? And so that was the question I asked myself. And then I said, fear has no face, yet somehow it looks at you daily,
mm,
which reading that just puts me, and I'm like, how is I am always we are always confronted with this emotion, like with all types of shit, right? But I think fear is the one that is the constant, like because we're not, for me, I know I'm not conditioned to believe that shit will always go a certain way. And then obviously I was raised a certain way. My parents didn't feel that way. So we were constantly in this state of chaos, or reacting. And so you're reacting out of fear. Vibrating through your soul, finding that black hole, I feel seen. Like, I know for me, fear also is very crippling. Like, my body, I'm an empath already. So I feel like, if I'm afraid of something, like, I'm not very functional after that. So for me, it's like, it's so much deeper than it's saying I'm afraid of something. Like, it's more just like my behavior will react accordingly. Like, I'm not going to go this direction if I'm afraid of going. I'm going to go wherever the safer route is. Fear has no name. You can identify it and connect with it, recognize it without verbalizing. What should I call you? How is it that something that how is it that fear is not a person? It's not necessarily a thing. Like it may be created based on like how a person makes you feel. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, but it still has all the abilities of a human being. It's crazy. What are you, fear? How do you know what paralyzes me? Nobody can see, but you see. You always catch me slipping. Like, fear to me is the most vulnerable state, one of the most vulnerable states you could be in. Like,
mm-hmm.
and so for me, it's like your fear is able to put me in, you know, put me in a point of like, no, I can't do anything else. My brain, my mind, like everything, it seems very paralyzing. And, and you could look at me now and not tell me, you can't tell if I'm afraid or not. Like, you don't know what that looks like, but fear knows what that shit looks like.
Right.
So that's where that came from. For the last time, fear, we are breaking up. Stop letting me use you as a crutch. So, being afraid to try new things, to write the book, to write the poems, to do the spoken word or go to college, like whatever it is that like you're afraid of doing, right? Um, that was me saying, I'm not going to keep using that as an excuse not to do things. Damn, you fear, you really suck, but I got something for you. Like that was me like, okay, really just, if I'm going to have a conversation with fear, what would I say to it? Um,
Mm,
And then afraid of dying, but I keep living, may go broke, but I'm still giving. You cripple me, but I rise and walk. Oh, fear, is that all you got? Like, to talk that talk. Like, that was, I believe in treating emotions as if, like, we talk about affirmations, we talk about speaking things into existence. So if I'm going to talk to fear, then that's what I'm going to say. Like, that's me taking, like, feeling like I take my control back.
mm,
Fear with no face and no name must be lonely, you phony. There is no place for you here for the last damn time. Go away, fear. Fear is a bully.
mm,
Fear is a bully. So this poem here like represents like just the fact of like I don't know how many times I've sat on my couch or in my car or in different situations, just like literally paralyzed by the thought of something bad, of what fear would do, like how afraid I was of saying no or breaking up with that person or moving or whatever. Like a lot of things kept me stuck. And this is me saying, like, I don't want to be stuck no more.
mm, mm. Wow. I
So,
love that. Yeah. You hit a lot of nails in that coffin with everything you just said, because I feel like when we live in fear, it's like it dictates how you make decisions, right? Because it's like saying, yeah, I'm gonna take the safest route so I don't get hurt. It's like you have this wall just so I don't want to be emotionally hurt. So it's kind
yeah,
of like, all right, I mean, because there's a difference between taking precaution and then taking precaution because you're
yeah,
scared, right? I think those are two different things.
yeah,
Because if you're taking precaution out of being discerned because you want to make sure that, okay, this is the way I'm supposed to go, that's different.
yeah,
But to make precaution because I'm scared
yeah,
about something, that's another different thing. And I feel like I know for my life too. I've had situations like I've allowed the fear of something miss out on opportunities, right? Because I've had job interviews or I've had job opportunities given to me, but because of the fear of, oh, but what if this is bad, or what if I get fired? I have this because it's safe and I
yeah.
know what it is. But then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, how would I? But because of that fear, I probably missed out on something that could have been beneficial for me, not just financially, but maybe mental health wise. It could have
Yeah,
been a beneficial thing. But because I was so stuck on being comfortable, the comfortability aspect and then being in fearful while you're in that comfortable aspect sometimes don't work together, right?
yeah,
And it causes you to make decisions you don't want to make,
absolutely.
or you make it because it's just easy.
Yeah, it's it's like I like how you put it. There's safety, there's being safe, and then there's just genuine like I don't want to know what it's like on the other side of this. Like I don't want to take that leap. And I've definitely not taken that leap and felt like obviously felt worse for not doing that. You know, there's domino effects to that. But yeah, I've this poem is like me taking the emotion and pretty much like destroying it, like really just like this or disarming like what it has over me. um
Mm,
and so I've made a lot of decisions since then that have really helped me like get past that.
mm, mm. Wow, that's powerful. And I'm gonna read some of the comments. Robert, you're a funny one. He says I'm better than Oprah. No, what I was trying to say earlier was that I'm the kind of person I like to break things down, and I like when people break things down to me because it just sparks the conversation. Somebody told me I'm a little too aware of everything. Yeah, maybe that's true, but I kind of like it like that because then that's what helps me know more about myself. I guess if that makes sense. But yeah. Spoken word, spoken Scots. He says fear equals fuck everything and rise. Yes. And
I
then
like
Robert
that.
Kazi says everything worthwhile is terrifying at first.
Mm,
And then Tierra said she was agreeing with Robert Kazi and spoken word, spoken Scots. And then Jolene says, come here, fear, you are afraid to die. Um I don't know that other word is.
Joy for your
HRJ.
heart.
Okay, I don't know which.
She must be quoting something. She must be quoting something. But yeah,
Fear
go ahead.
is a bully. Yeah,
Yep, agreed.
and yeah. There is a question by Jolene. It says, "Did you choose to order your poems? If so, could you speak on as to that as a process?" That was her question.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was definitely an order to the poems, like, uh, because I spoke to it as a cycle. So like, if you get seeds of a sunflower, then I normally broke it down based on the different cycles of how flowers grow, of how a sunflower grows, and then I also I put quotes in there from some people in my life that really like affected me during that time. So it's all intentional, all of it. The
Mm.
poems, the order they're in, chronological, all of it's intentional. The reflection seed is, you always want to, when you hear a poet speak or when you read a poem, like most of the time you want to know what the inspiration was or the thought process. The reflection seed is me telling you what's going on in my head at that time and what I learned from that experience. So you don't even have to ask me. Like, I put it right there. And obviously if it needs to go further, I'll go into that. But yeah, it started with the sunflower, and then everything else was very intentional. Table of contents, all that, and I think just having conversations with people about the book. Like, if you're gonna write a book, like, ain't nothing wrong with talking to people about it. I'm telling you, that brainstorming comes from just like asking people or telling people, what do you think about this? So I read a lot of that stuff by people I'm close to. And then I just kind of, a lot of it is paying tribute to people in my life who helped me in that process.
Okay. Okay. No, that definitely makes sense. Jolene had another question. She says, "Did you write with the order in mind, or did it evolve as you went along?" I think maybe because you chose to work from the cycle of a flower, you knew what you were doing in the beginning. That's what she said.
Yeah, I mean, dang, Jolene coming with the questions too. Yeah, I mean, before I even wrote my first poem, it was gonna be about a sunflower. Somehow, some way, I didn't know how, but I just knew that was gonna be a part of it. And I literally had pictures of dirt, stems, all that. Like, it was just clip art. That's it. And then from there, it was just, connecting the dots and saying, well, soil is about foundation. How did your journey start? The seed, the stem, the plant, the sunflower. Like, obviously the sunflower is the ultimate goal. So by the time you get to the end as the reader, you should have a good feeling about, okay, Drea, like, is in a good place versus, she may have went through some stuff, but eventually she, rose, she rose above a lot of that stuff.
Mm,
So
okay.
yeah.
No, no, I love that. And it's so funny because it kind of leads into my next question that also about your book. To be free. This is another piece you have for those who have the book. It's on page 14. And walk me through that as well because I love that. The first line, it says, "A state of mind feeling of entrapment. Are you breaking down or breaking through?" Like, I love, can you walk me through just those three lines right there? Because that is very powerful. And then leaving those thoughts of incarceration.
Dissecting like how I make decisions. So, you know, to be free, like, what is really freedom? A state of mind, feeling of entrapment. Um, if you're not free, then doesn't it, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do you define that? Like, that's basically where I was going with this. Are you breaking down or breaking through? Like, is you wanting to be free from fear, from pain, from frustration? I don't know, it could be a breakup, whatever that thing is that you're trying to be free from. How do you look at the fact that you're having these emotional, like, events? of, for me, it would be crying or sad or sleepy or whatever. Um, Leaving those thoughts of incarceration behind, like feeling trapped. Freedom, how do I know that it is you? Like, this is me like thinking about how I'm really the only person that's keeping me from being free. So if I'm able to figure out, like, if I'm able to change the perspective of how I make decisions versus the cycle of being stuck in the same place again and again, then to me, that's real freedom. Not the physical, not the jail, not the aspect of being able to walk around and have free will, but I think the mental part of having free will is the most gratifying in my opinion. So I say I walk in freedom, talk in freedom, but why am I still feeling like a hostage? Like I'm holding myself back from something. Like I can walk around and do what I want, but still internally in my mind, somehow I still am not able to move forward on like what my real desire is, like what my real purpose is. And so ability to deliberate, appreciate but not participate, I still feel held down. Freedom is at you. Like that's me seeing it, trying to affirm it, and really just will myself to get to that step because you know that you have like that's what I'm learning. I learned that is that I have to validate myself first. Like I have to validate that it's okay for me to do this, whatever decision it is that I'm trying to get to. Do you know where you're going?
Mm.
I am showing you there's more to life, but freedom, how can I be one with you? Like how can we be on the same page? Like freedom is in me. Freedom is in me. I can do these things. I just haven't been able to make like to really like not have the fear or just get out of my own head. Um,
Mm.
my skin, eyes, hair, senses. Can I not be free? Why can't I be what I want to be? Oh, I see. It's me. It's only me. This is me saying like, man, listen, like nobody else is keeping me from doing what I want to do. Hold me back. Don't disturb. Don't rock the boat. Don't I get a vote? Oh, I get a vote. It's my life, my choice. Doesn't anybody else see? Oh, now I see the best gift in life is to be free. I can, my free will is my free will. Nobody else gets to control that but me. That's what this poem is about.
Mm. Wow. Amen to that. And no, because you're there. You should. I feel like you're definitely speaking to me right now. I feel like God's using you to talk to me right now because I'm in a season in my life where I'm slowly getting out of my comfort zone. I'm slowly like like fear is kind of departing from me because it's kind of like, okay, you know what, you're boring. I don't want to fear you anymore, kind of thing. But I feel that fear like, damn, there's that void of that. But I got used to feeling the fear, but now I'm okay with not feeling it as much anymore, kind of thing. So it's so crazy how everything you're breaking down. It's like, wait, is this really what freedom feels like though?
Yeah,
Because what I used to always be afraid of, I'm not as scared of them anymore. Like at work, when it comes to like I deal with shoplifters,
yeah,
unfortunately, and I get this nervous, like, oh my God, do I really have to do this? Is more like, hey, can you just leave? Like, I don't have to curse, I don't
yeah,
have to yell at everybody.
yeah,
I'm like, hey, just please, like, look, take what you take, just
yeah,
get out, kind of thing. And but I don't feel that fear, like like this frozenness of it.
yeah.
I mean, maybe that's not a good example of what I'm, I guess, trying to
No, I
get at,
mean,
but it's like
I
that's just
get
an
it.
example of something
I
that in
get
my
it.
life, with especially
Yeah,
when it comes to like decisions I had to make in life, I felt like that, like, oh, do I really have to confront this?
oh
But
yeah,
I know the fear of confronting is not as big anymore,
yeah,
if that's
yeah,
what makes
yeah.
sense. Jolene says sunflower pulls contaminants from the soil. Thank you for speaking your process. Enjoy that. Um, Deep Thought says free will is incredible and absolutely agree on the bit about us holding ourselves back often. Yes, I definitely agree with that. Tierra Nicole says, the best gift in life is to be free. So true. And it took me a long time to realize that for myself. It's so liberating. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. And then Robert Kazi had a question. He says, what has been, what's been your proudest moment so far as a writer? That's a good question.
Hmm. Um, my proudest moment as a writer, man, like seeing seeing how my words affect people in real time.
Mm, okay.
Uh, yeah, I mean, you could read the book, be by yourself and everything, but um, just like when you was reading my book earlier, like when we talk about this even now, like these are the moments that make me proud because I know there's connection. Like that's the goal. Thought provoking reflection really get you to really get people to think about to just have those moments of looking at themselves and feeling like they're capable of overcoming anything they want to. And so for me, it's like every time somebody, every time I have a discussion about anything that I've written, those are the proud moments because it's like, oh, you want to know what I was thinking? Oh, you want to know why I said this? Let me explain to you why. And then of course it's validation for me because when I wrote these poems, I was not in this confident space that I am now. So,
Mm,
so Fear What Are You, written in a time where I was afraid. You know what I'm saying? Like those emotions were very raw. Reading it now, obviously I'm coming from a growth perspective and now I'm like, okay, that was necessary to get where I'm at right now. So
mm.
so yeah, every moment that people can have that I can have conversations with people about what these words have done for me and that I would like to do for other people is always a proud moment.
Wow. Damn. I really love that so much. And it's so true too, right? Because there's that feeling of accomplishment, like that feeling of, oh, okay. Like, let's say, for example, I wanted my purpose to be one thing, but when people see it and it speaks to me, it speaks to them differently, but in such a positive light that it's like, oh, wow, okay, this accomplished even more than what I thought it was gonna be, and
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely a beautiful thing. So I guess what I wanted to ask you next, if you could read you could read a poem from here so that you can give the audience more of a from your mouth pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, man, let's see. So I always like, let's see. Uh, I was just looking at yeah, go to page 30. Page 30, energize your spirit. Um, I always like this one. And then, of course, if you have the book, you can see page 29, cycle is the sun. So these are the feel good poems because some makes you feel good. So Andy, you a fun dude, man. I just want to point that out. Like the energy, I dig it. Um, anyway, when your spirit is weary, you've cried your pool of tears, unleashing your fears. It's time to energize your spirit. Take time to rest. You did your best. Energize your spirit so that you can live your best life. Learn to say no to the mess, yes to the self-care, no to the negativity. Come my way, positive energy. Accept others' sympathy, but don't be down too long. You are strong, and even in weakness, you still belong in this world. Believe in yourself. Create a space to have good emotional health. Energize your spirit to become the excellent human you want to be. Poem.
Love that. that. I love that. And you know what really hits me with this? The learn to say no to the mess. I love that. Because you know it's too like when like I look at it like a battery, right? Like the battery's energized, but once the battery starts to die down, then you feel kind of like, oh, okay, this is kind of draining.
Yeah,
I feel like when you're most vulnerable, when you're most tired, that's when the mess wants to throw itself onto
yeah,
you sometimes. And then it's like,
yeah,
okay, you're gonna bother me and get me mad when I'm tired. You know, I'm like, but people don't seem to care, right? But
yeah,
it's interesting because the power of no, I didn't realize how powerful the word no really was until last year. I've learned like, you can't say yes to everything because
yeah,
sometimes if you say yes to everything and some of the things you don't feel comfortable doing, then it becomes kind of an issue. And then you start having regret, like, damn, why did I say this? Why
yeah,
did I do that? Why did I agree to this?
yeah,
But the word
yeah,
no, I didn't realize how powerful that word really is, because when you say no, you're not being a moron, you're not being a dick about it.
yeah,
It's just more like, hey, it's just not my thing. And it's
yeah,
okay to say no.
yeah,
And that's something I always struggled with, is the word no.
yeah,
Um,
definitely, definitely. Same.
because you feel pressured to doing it. It's like, oh man. And what doesn't, I know for me personally, like I've always been put down a lot. So I feel like if I say no, if I say no at all, then it's like, oh, that means I'm disappointing the person. No, that's a fear that I put in
Yeah.
myself. And I realized, no,
Oh yeah,
it's okay to say no. It's okay
yeah,
because like if I don't want to hang out with nobody, it's nothing personal. I just didn't want to fuck with you today. And that's okay. It's not personal. I just want to be alone. That's it.
yeah,
I don't want to
yeah,
go to the club. I don't want to go outside. I just want to stay home and be on my computer. That's it. Like, and that's okay. Like, and it's one of
yeah,
those things, feeling the need, like, no, but let me go because maybe he needs me. No, maybe if it, sometimes okay, sometimes it's not the case. And it's like, it's okay to do that. So I definitely love that. And, yeah, sure, for sure. There was a request on here. Hold on. Ali Paul says, please read page 34.
hmm. My girl Allie, shout out to her. She's amazing. Um, yeah, 34.
Yep.
Yep, the Pick Up Your Crown Queen. Pick Up Your Crown Queen is the poem. Uh, so the people have spoken. We gotta give the people what they want, right?
This is true.
And um, okay. Pick up your crown, queen, beautiful woman, skin smooth as butter, mind sharp as cheddar cheese. Why don't you recognize yourself as the queen you were meant to be? Your crown needs cleaning like jewelry, but no one can make it shine like you, baby. Beautiful woman, hair like silk, smelling like the cocoa trees and herbs that help the forest smell serene. Look in the mirror. Do you see what I see? A face that can't be erased from the hurt you feel inside. You try to hide, but I see your pain. Beautiful woman, no one is built like you, with the power to push through all situations that make you feel small as you stand tall. Caring for others, leaving yourself in the dust with no one to trust but your mind, your powerful, intelligent mind. You have come so far. Beautiful woman, those tears are waterfalls for beauty. Those pools of water in your eyes as you are drowning, face frowning. Oh girl, I see your pain. But you are brave. And these men don't deserve you. You deserve you because, queen, you are royalty. A mother to future kings and queens, a sister to another sister to queens, a daughter that has to learn to spread her wings and fly. Pick up your crown, queen. Pick up your crown, head up, neck straight and strong, shoulders back. You have done nothing wrong. Walk with grace, a smile on that pretty face. You deserve everything and more, but be ready to receive what the universe has in store. Don't shy away. Not today. These gifts you earned, you may have been burned, but you need to heal. That hurt you feel, that rejection you feel, that regret you feel, the weakness you feel in your limbs down to the bottom of your feet. It seems like defeat, but guess what, Queen? You still got your crown, queen. Never put it down. Another queen helps you carry it till you're ready to take it and be proud. No matter how life may seem, don't forget to pick up your crown,
Mm,
queen.
mm,
That one always
yeah.
gives me chills.
I love that because it's like you're having a pep talk with yourself, but you're also having a pep talk to your best friend or your
That part.
sister or your mother, even our parents. I'll say this, sometimes mothers, like let's say my mom, for example, my dad's been passed away for 6 years now, but I know even though she's now getting out of her depressing funk, but I look at this piece and I think about my mom sometimes and I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, you're still here, you're still strong, and now you're slowly getting out of the depressing funk. And I know that process was not
Yeah,
easy because I never lost a spouse, so I could never understand what it is to lose a spouse.
yeah,
And
yeah,
me and my mom, unfortunately, see my dad take his last breath, so that, and I see my mom break down the way she did. So I mean, it's one of those we're not gonna talk about it, but we know it's there kind of
yeah.
thing. But I don't know what she does in private. So I'm pretty sure, she probably has this pep talk with herself and tells herself, hey, you know what? I can't keep living like this. She was very skinny at one point, and it looks like she started to gain a little bit more weight back again. It's like, oh, great. But I took that as someone's telling my mom, like, hey, it's going to be all right because you still have
Yep,
your crown. Just wear it proudly and walk,
yep.
keep on walking. I think about the scripture in the Bible about when Jesus um when Jesus healed the paralyzed guy in the mat. He says, pick up your mat and go kind of thing. And that's the way I
Mhm.
looked at it. Like just whatever you have with you, just take it with you everywhere you go. Because what you learn, right, is gonna teach somebody else. It's gonna motivate somebody else. But I
Yeah,
also
that's it.
took that as kind of like saying, you know what? I know I'm going through a tough time right now, but I'm gonna get through
Yeah,
this kind of thing. Like that's how
that's
that
it.
piece spoke to me. Yeah, you have a lot
Self,
of
self,
fires and thank yous and stuff.
self-affirming, self-affirming, self-affirming first, but also affirming others. Like, and so you know, it's the it's the quiet part said out loud. Looking in the mirror, all the affirmations. I would put stickies with affirmations all over my mirror and I would read them every morning and you know what I'm saying? And that's just the longer version of how I affirm myself.
So that piece though, like was it hard to write that piece?
Yeah, because I mean it was like it was almost like, yeah, you got this pile of shit going on, but man, you better put your crown on and keep it moving, that
Right.
sort of thing. Like it was, you and by this point in the book, by the way, like, keeping it intentional, like this is the sun part, right? So it's still we're in the good times. It's just I've dealt with all the stuff now. Like, don't I deserve to feel good? Like, shouldn't I feel good about where I'm at? You
Mm,
know? Like I don't need to keep punishing myself for things that have already happened or decisions I made. Like I can move forward despite X, Y, and Z. Like that pain you feel, that hurt you feel, through your from your limbs to the bottom of your feet, like just how your body feels physically, all of that. All of that is connected.
mm, mm. Yeah, no, definitely. And that's definitely important, right? Because like you said, it's just I think that's like we're reminding ourselves who we are. It's like someone told me one time too, like, look, you know what you're all about. You know who you are, despite what you've
Yeah.
been through. We
Yep.
have to stop allowing things and people and
Yep.
influences around us to determine who we are when we know who we are. We know who we're
Absolutely.
called to be. And it's because you know what it is too. Because a while back, a couple of weeks ago, I kind of I did like a little quick live that I kind of touched on it a little bit. Like I said, I'm not gonna get too much into detail, but I've had people kind of put me down, talking about, oh, what I'm doing is not working, kind of
Yeah.
thing. That really down.
Yeah.
And I've had other poets who come up to me that say, "Hey, bro, you okay?" Like reaching out to me.
Yeah.
They kind of quiet, and then I kind of addressed a little bit of it. And one of the greatest thing was, "Hey, you know, they're just mad because they couldn't do it. Pretty
Yeah.
much is what it is. They're just mad because they
Yeah.
can't do what you're doing, and no one could do what you do except for you. So in
For
that
sure.
same way, the journey to get to where you're at, that's definitely important, right? And I
Yep.
love what I love about your writing of your book is that no matter what you've been through, you never forget where you came from. You never
Yep.
forget that even though I went through that, I didn't stay there. I didn't stay in these moments.
Yep.
I'm here now and I have testimony. This is like a testimony. This is the way I look at it. This is living
Yeah. I
proof.
mean,
Look, I got through it. I'm not saying that some of these feelings might not come back every
yep.
so often, but this is a reminder I got through
Yep. That
it.
part.
It's like
That.
seasons. I always think about it like a
Yep.
season,
Yep.
right? Because because every season has their own thing. But I feel like there's a season that people don't talk about. It's the transitional season, right? Because when
Yep.
fall comes winter, it doesn't just go like that the next day. Oh,
Yep.
let's talk about now.
Yep.
Now it's just weird
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the climate's just weird.
Randomness.
But
Yeah.
it's not like back in, okay, I'm gonna say like years ago where before fall became winter, there was a transitional
Yeah.
season where it's transitioning into the winter time. And I feel like that's the season no one really talks about. But I feel like in our life, that's how our lives are sometimes.
Absolutely.
Before we can get into the next season of our lives, the transitional season is the season where we begin to let go, we
Yeah.
begin to reflect. And I always think about like kind of like Abraham a lot in the Bible, where like he had a season where he had to separate from Lot because there's certain things you can't take with you,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you have to leave it where it is. And I also think about Paul. I always talk about Paul in the Bible, but when I was a child, there's this whole thing he says about I reasoned like a child, understood as a child, and I spoke like a child. But when I became a man, I had no more use for that. But he was
Yeah.
talking about that stuff is childish. He's talking about there's certain things I used to do sometimes, but now when I transition of the letting go and get it, like the transitional, it prepares you
Yeah.
for where you're gonna go next. But you have to realize that some of those things are not gonna you can't take that with you. You have to be willing to be okay with
Yeah.
letting those things go because there's a bigger purpose for what's ahead. Because life is
Absolutely.
understood backwards, but we have to move it forward. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
a
A thousand
say,
percent. Yeah.
and I think
I
that's definitely important. I hear rumbling a little bit. Sorry about that. Um, but that's definitely how I see life. I think life is, and I feel like that's what you're displaying in your book. I think you're really showing us that, and you're illustrating it to us. And I love the fact that when you have the pieces, that you have the reflection of that. I love how you did that. And in the comments, they can't do it your way. Amen. And their negativity is an internal reflection of themselves, not your mirror. I love that. That was by
Mm-hmm.
who said this? That was
Yep.
Lady
Lady
Siren said
Siren.
that.
Shout out to
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Yep.
Yes. Yes. So, we are reaching towards the end. I do want to ask you this because I always ask everybody in the interviews I've done when Drea's not here anymore, we're not here. We're all, we're old already and we're not in this life anymore. When people hear your name, Drea, what do you want to be remembered for? What impact do you want to leave behind? What legacy you want to leave behind? That's pretty much what my question is. And I mean, how does that look like to you?
Um, man, the being the being like the generational bridge, like being like when I leave this earth, it'll be it'll be me helping one, making sure I was able to help like the next generation be able to like go a lot further than we ever could,
Mm,
with whatever experiences and tools that we didn't have. There was no poetic memoir or book of pieces, for Drea to follow to be like, well, you know what? Those are the type of situations, I found myself in and didn't know what to do. But I believe, as a creative, like that part of my purpose and responsibility is to help the next generation find their own and be able to continue that on, like carry that on with whatever talent it is and gifts that they have. Because what we getting in this hamster wheel of 9 to 5 and working and all that, and not really tapping into who we are as, what our creative side is. And, I suppressed that for a while. And now that I discovered it, like, I don't want the future to be 40 to 50 years old, finally realizing, you know what, I should have lived in my purpose. No, Drea is saying, like, do that shit now. Do that shit
Mm,
now. This is what I've done, and this is, which, small thing. I'm working on a Gen Z real talk book about creativity because an anthology because those are the gifts that I want to leave behind when I'm no longer here.
I love that. I love that. And I definitely agree. It's like everything you said. This is why I do this platform in the first place, because again, there's things that need to be talked about. And it's like, when they look back at this episode and they look back at everything we're talking about, I'll be like, damn, you know what? They're speaking truth. And it's true because the younger generation is not going to understand now until they understand it later. What I find interesting is too how we do live in a time where the younger generation is. I feel like there's a lot of misguidance in this life, and I feel like it's up to us to find a way to like to shine that light to guide them to the right direction. But it's their choice if
Yeah,
they want to take direction,
absolutely.
right?
Like
And that's
we
very important.
we the Encyclopedia Britannicas like that we had, and if you know that reference, you old as hell. We 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 are the resources. To me, I consider myself a resource, like, and to be able to be like, you know what, like, don't wait until you spent 10 to 20 years at a job that you hate. You know what I'm saying? Don't wait to say that much, like, obviously take the risk, take the jump or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I encouraging people to tap into their capability and purpose is something that I don't think I've experienced growing up, and that I feel like is absolutely necessary right now.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. I think with me, that's funny because I'm gonna be 39 July. The next year I turn 40. But it's interesting how like what I'm doing now, I found it now because there are times like back in 2022, I was like on pretty much a hiatus. I didn't really do much. And my wife was the one that said, I hope you bring your platform, bring your podcast back because, you love doing that. I'm like, yeah, but, I kept making excuses for it. And I'm glad I decided to do it
Yeah,
and just see what happens because I look back now, this is 2022 going to 2023, and then here we are now 2024 having this conversation. I
yeah,
feel like what you're telling me tonight was confirmation
yeah,
that, you know what, I was meant, I'm happy that I said yes
yeah.
because we wouldn't be having this conversation. And
No,
yeah, definitely, definitely. And I'm learning now how to navigate things in my life where I'm not going to keep letting fear dictate how I make decisions because it's hard. It really is. And it's like taking that leap of faith,
mhm,
it's hard.
yeah,
That struggle is real. And I'm like,
yeah,
but what if I mess up? Oh, what if this doesn't go well? Oh well, it doesn't go well. And
yeah,
my pastor said this years ago, and I'll never forget it. He says, "It's not that you failed, that thing failed." And
mhm,
I was like, I bet. And that's all there is to it. So you're not a failure. That thing failed because maybe it just didn't work. But it
yeah,
doesn't mean you can't reinvent
yeah,
something and take something and reinvent it. Or it doesn't mean you can't try it again and maybe find something else different that works to make that thing work.
absolutely. We have so many opportunities to be better and to be great, and I mean, we're on a public platform, like, being extra vulnerable. Like, I don't see how, like, you know what I'm saying, 10, 20 years ago, like, I wasn't finna get up in the class and tell everybody that I'm afraid of some shit. You know what I mean? So we've definitely evolved in that way. So Andy, you living in your purpose too, and I'm really grateful you asked me to do this. And that you have a capability to really bring out the information and the nuggets that people need to hear. So I'm giving you your flowers back as well. So
No, thank you. I really appreciate that. And what I was telling Rain yesterday too, I said, this is my passion because like you said, I've never had the opportunity to tell my story. No one ever gave me a place to sit down and just talk and hear me out. And I look at it as, you know what? There's a place to do that now, but there's also a place that, you know what, if I went through this and I feel like this, then I'm pretty sure there's other people that feel exactly the damn same way I feel. So how can I give back in a
yeah,
way that people don't feel like that? And I feel like,
absolutely.
again, like everything I've done so far, I think has confirmed all of that. And I will say, I was going to read something that Deep thought. Um, I don't know what he means by LE.
He's saying, I think he missed the O. He talking about he old as hell. If he which he was when he was responding to the Encyclopedia Britannica comment,
Okay.
so he was talking about if you know that he old as hell, and he said in that case he doesn't know what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Basically,
No, my dad had the Botanica Encyclopedia. I have this one. My father has this one dictionary, a big ass encyclopedia dictionary. It's humongous, and yeah, it's let's just say if you got hit with one of these, then yeah, that was really painful. So I gotta say about that. Oh my God. But Drea, thank you so much. You've actually given me a lot of between you and Robert Kazi, because I spoke to him earlier today, and I think I sent you the message saying that I feel, especially this year, I feel like every interview I've had so far, it's confirming a lot of things for me. But it's also, I feel like there's like an alignment that's happening that we probably are not even aware of, because it seems like the main thing so far, what it's been like, is overcoming fear and how to conquer fear. Kind of like if you're King David, then fear is Goliath. Like I feel like there's like an alignment. It seems to be the ongoing thing the last couple lives I've done
yeah.
already. And it's so interesting connecting it's interesting. So thank you so much. I guess before I end this live, do you have any last words or anything you're doing, anything you want to plug in?
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody in the comments, tuning in, man. That the interaction has been great. It's always thought provoking to talk about my work, but also to like really to really be introspective and hopefully like I said, I'm most proud when my words connect and help y'all figure out wherever it is that y'all trying to go. But yeah, tomorrow I have a show in Colleen, Love Vibrations, uh, and that's gonna be a feature. I have my audiobook, Seeds of a Sunflower, is on Spotify and like Google Play, 40 other freaking platforms for the free, for the most part, or at least $5. I know y'all at least got $5. Other than that, I'm just kind of, seeing where this stuff takes me and really just being like living in my purpose the best possible way, being the generational bridge that I know I was born to be. So thank you.
No, thank y'all. Amen. Amen. Thank you everybody for joining me.